Hello and welcome to another week of the Uncuckables. I'm Tim Wilms, Editor-in-Chief of the Unshackled, and I'm here as always with the editor of XYZ, David Hiscox.
Always a pleasure to be here, Tim. Thanks for having me.
And we've got the newest star of Australia's far right, according to
No, you got to say it properly.
I can't do it like
Okay.
far
right!
The dusty Bogan, Ben Shand. How are you?
He's going. I'm famous, mate. They're starting to write fucking articles about me.
They named you.
The Guardian. Yeah, they named me.
Yeah.
And then they put that fucking nutcase terrorism in the same bloody article as me.
That's what they do.
I couldn't
That's how
believe
they
it.
work it.
What a fucking stretch. It's insanity.
Had you ever met him?
All from drinking beer. Pardon?
Have you ever met Brenton Tarrant, just for the record?
Fuck no.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't even know the dude's name. I'm like, who's that? And I'm like, that's right. That's that nut cunt who shot up the bloody mosque. And it's a funny thing, all this from drinking beers and giving Bob Catter a megaphone and tricking him to say the first degree Proud Boys pledge.
Oh, so you actually got him to say that?
Yeah.
You're the guy.
Yeah, that's it. It's so funny. Because Bob Catter, he's a dead set legend, so he's just a mad storyteller. And then we're like, hey, Bob, we've got a megaphone. Do you want to say some stuff in the megaphone? And he's just rambling, talking shit. And then one of the boys is whispering in his ear, say this. And we're all cheering him on. He didn't know what he's doing. He wasn't like, I'll do the pledge and become a Proud Boy. He was unaware of what he's actually doing. Do you know what I mean? We just filmed it like what a laugh. And it's so stupid because they're saying we're far right. If you look at the actual video, I'm on the right-hand side, Bob's in the middle, and the dude on the left is a Fijian Proud Boy. So I guess they could say us we were racist.
What is the Proud Boy pledge?
I'm a proud Western chauvinist, and I will not apologise for the creation of the modern world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matty, who's on this show on a rotating basis, he referred to you on one of our live streams as a dirty civnat, but he didn't show up tonight. I said, oh, well, we've already got 3 people here. We can, rotate like we do. Matty's like, oh, no, it's okay. I'll sit out.
Yeah, so you told him not to come along.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you told him not to come.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I, to be honest, I was actually looking forward to a bit of a showdown, but
Well, Matty, he just posted a voice message on Telegram, so he can still have his say.
Yeah, okay. Should we listen to what Matty's had to say?
Matty's had to say.
Yeah.
All right. No, he just posted a graph. That was all it was. I thought he posted a voice message.
What's the graph of? Is it of like what?
Oh, here we go. Here.
I just shared the Google Trends for BitChute, and I mentioned this on Gab and Minds.
Yeah.
You can see
Nothing important. If he wants to have his say, you can jump into the comments. But you highlighted to me just as we were about to... I was typing in the episode number. It's episode 14.
Yes, it's episode 14. Yes, we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. I think that's very important as well.
Existence of our people and a future for white children.
Well said, well said, Tim.
Now you've got to say it, Dusty.
Jeez, I don't even know it. You have to walk me through it.
Well, we just both said it.
What is it? Yeah,
We must secure the
existence of
our people,
the future of our white children. Some shit.
Yeah,
like
that'll do. Near enough.
See, Jason Wilson was right. You are far right. That'll be.
There you go. Now they've got the evidence. I'm fucking going downhill from here.
Now, when I first read that Guardian article, I actually didn't notice that it was written by Jason Wilson, who is a well-known Antifa supporter and sympathiser. So getting labelled, because I noticed that they called the Unshackled a far-right website, but there was that article about Dia Beltran going to the Liberal Party fundraiser that was by another Guardian journalist, just described the Unshackled as a right-wing website. So obviously...
Well, given that Jason Wilson, pretty much all of his friends are anarchists, from what I can see from reading the work of Lucas Rossas, like, of course... he considers you to be far right. I wonder what he considers the XYZ to be, like far right?
No, well, Fraser Anning was extreme far right.
Ah, okay. So maybe the XYZ, because we've criticised Fraser Anning for actually like having non-white people in his party. Like, if you're a nationalist party, like why do you have like non-Australian people in your party? So maybe like we're like super mega epic extreme far right.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. It's just going to be it's going to be super fragile, like holistic.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was funny when I was reading that article, because like you're the like least dangerous and like hateful person that I know. Like,
how funny is it all the time that Antifa, I've ever been around them and they're screaming at me, you know. And I'll be like, hey, how you going, guys? Just like... microphone up to their face. Like, fuck, I wonder if they've watched my videos, the stupid...
Oh, we've lost him for a moment, but we got the point.
Well, yeah.
Oh, you're back now. This is why we were late, because there was internet trouble.
I'm back.
Yeah, just say all that again.
Well, you know, it's funny, if these dudes followed my YouTube, they would know they would know where I stand. Like, the Proud Boys promote civic nationalism, right? Like, we're promoting cultural fucking... You know, these people can culturally participate, they can assimilate. Even, you know what I mean? I don't know what these people are fucking on about, but like you guys were saying earlier, you know, to the alt-left, fucking classical liberalism is alt-right, you know what I mean? They're fucking insane.
Yeah, that's what I find so ridiculous, that, yeah, they're writing all these hit pieces, you know, warning about dangerous people, and yet they're the ones who are always, you know, have all this aggressiveness in them. But, you know, despite, you know, your easygoing persona, you've been banned from Facebook when the Proud Boys purge happened. You lost your Facebook page and your profile. You were banished to MeWe, and now you're also on Telegram. You've tried to make a comeback to Facebook. Yeah,
I've recreated another Facebook account, but honestly, I'm just like, fuck Facebook, you know? It's hard for me to get back into it. I'm like, am I really going to waste my time and invest into Facebook? Yeah, I have a page. People can follow me on there, and I'll post some fucking memes. Maybe I will post a few videos, but at the moment, I'm just like, what incentive do I have to fucking really build that my Facebook page up, you know?
Well, you've been trying to get the YouTube hours up so you can get monetized, because you're up to 1,600 subscribers now. So you're getting there, but you still haven't got the hours up yet to get.
I've got the hours up, so now it's under review, my YouTube channel. So we'll see. Yeah, it'll probably never fucking happen.
Well, last week we had the big Facebook, YouTube purge with Stephen Crowder. Well, he was demonetized for engaging in harassment conduct, but we saw Australian Meditations, Australian YouTuber who we had on the Uncuckables last week, he had his channel terminated. Sherman Burgess had his channel terminated, and YouTube free speech alternatives, BitChute and DTube, they're blocked by most Australian ISPs for hosting the Christchurch shooting mosque video. But we found out this week that BitChute, Telstra confirmed that they blocked BitChute under the directive of the government, so it wasn't an act of noble self-censorship.
Okay, so it's the government directing that.
Well, our government probably gave him a nudge or a use their muscle. We've seen it recently.
But, like if they're saying that it wasn't us, it was because of the government. So the government is directing them to block BitChute.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And DTube and all the others.
Yeah. So, we can have our own internet.
Signal. It's just the virtue signal. I bet you they're just saying that to throw it off, Oh, I don't want to lose my fucking... Probably 10% of the people who have Telstra are based this far. So they're like, oh, we'll just throw the cent off. Blame the government. I bet you they did censor,
So Sherman Burgess, he was one of the people whose ISP blocked BitChute. So he started a channel on CocoScope, which is it billed itself as no censorship. You'd never be demonetized or deplatformed because of your political opinion. They even allowed degenerate soft porn to be posted and monetized there. So they were for free speech for everybody.
And that lasted a day.
Until Wednesday, when Matty posted an email he got from CocoScope saying that our payment processor doesn't like us hosting far-right content, so we're not going to host political content anymore. Your channel's terminated. So they cucked within a week, so I call them CocoScope now.
Yeah, fair call.
So how do they determine that he's alt-right? Like, this is the thing. If you look at the article that they wrote about me and Bob and the Proud Boys, right, all the references to the Proud Boys were other fucking extreme left-wing journalists. So it's like they create circular reasoning. Do you know what I mean? They write one shit article, then they're just bouncing and referencing off all these shitty articles.
Yep.
So, like, who is the determiner to say fucking Matty's Modern Life is alt-right or fucking extreme right-wing?
Well, it's groupthink. Like, they all believe that. And so, yeah, like you say, they reference each other. Like, you put a hyperlink into an article and, hey, it's referenced. But yeah, like you say, they're referencing themselves. And that's what the entire media do. They lie about what's actually happening as it's happening quite often. Like we were looking at, like on Monday, Matty and I were talking about how the AFL, they've just apologised to Adam Goodes for all the booing that he received about 4 years ago. And they're trying to say, oh, we're really sorry because we didn't really do enough to like try to stop people from booing Adam Goodes. But it's like, no, the AFL went into full nanny corporation mode and they were so politically correct. There was so much virtue signalling going on. And now the entire media is trying to say, oh, nothing was done and they were all imprisoned about it. And so that this is how they create a false reality.
Yeah. That's been another side story this week. The AFL cracking down on, sledging, or it was on the weekend that a fan was evicted for calling an umpire a bald-headed flog. And I thought it was. I heard Sam
bald-headed flog.
Yeah, Sam Newman was.
That's racist.
Yeah, he was on the radio talking about it, and he was like being sarcastic. Oh, well, you've got to be considerate of his feelings. He might have alopecia, or he might just be bald, and so you're making him insecure about his appearance.
Bald-headed flog. That's really interesting because, like, I think the week before, like, they were saying that the AFL operations manager was down in the crowd, like, so that he could monitor the abuse of the umpires. And the commentators were going, yeah, it's a really bad thing, like the abuse of umpires these days. And I'm trying to think. Were you there in the 1980s, guys?
Yeah.
Come on.
When I went to like local, like just VFL matches, like I would have been like 10 years old. Like there was always some yobbo, yelling at the umpire, "You white maggot!" Like that's been around forever.
Yeah.
Mate, they're robbing us of all fun. The PC walls. I call them the authoritarian left. That's what I'm calling them from now on, eh?
Yeah, fair call.
So you're not allowed to, that's the thing in sport now. You're not allowed to hurt anyone's feelings. That's why Israel Folau's no longer a rugby player. I remember this First thing I noticed when there was this was getting quite ridiculous is that some player was suspended for saying something about another player's mum on the field.
Do you
Wow.
remember Basketball? Do you remember the movie Basketball?
Yeah, with the psych
And a
outs.
part of, yeah, they would
Yeah.
psych each other out.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened to our culture? Like, I don't know, I graduated high school 2005, and I swear, from 2000 to 2005, it was all this funny shit. It was like Basketball, South Park, Jackass, Dave Chappelle. What happened? Even Slim Shady, Eminem, like, it used to be cool to fucking, you know, joke around, stir the pot, talk shit, sledge people. It was all fun and games, and no one had a fucking problem. What the hell happened?
It keeps getting ramped up because it's interesting, like you're saying this, like, I was a kid in the 80s, and I remember what it's like to be a kid in the 80s, and I saw a shift in the 1990s when political correctness was coming in. And like the generation before me, like, saw a shift in the 80s and that sort of stuff. It's like they just keep ramping it up. They just keep boiling the frog. Like, if we've got our eyes open, yeah, we notice the difference. And if we're brave about it, we talk about it. I think a lot of people notice it, but they don't, you know, they just go with it.
Oh, well, sidetracked from...
I have an Aboriginal mate, right? He told me this. He said, remember when you're at... Am I going on a tangent?
No,
keep going.
we like
Get
tangents.
this shit but right. I think it wraps up. So my Aboriginal mate told me this. He's like, do you remember at school? And the teachers said, don't pick on that kid because one day he'll be your boss, right? So I'm telling you what happened. These kids, you know, they fucking were running down the paddock. They tripped over and everyone fucking laughed at them, right? They couldn't get over it. They've been bottling this shit up. The truth is, now they're the politicians, they're the fucking CEO of Qantas. They're all these nerd-ass kids. And the teachers were warning us, don't pick on them, they're going to be a boss one day. Now they're all our bosses. And they're hating this PC culture, and they're like, no one's going to fucking bully anyone. No one will be treated like me, the way I was treated when I was a kid. And I thought my Aboriginal mate, he told me this. I'm like, you're fucking onto it, bro. You're dead set. That's correct.
Well, yeah, Paul Joseph Watson was pointing out in one of his recent videos that all the lefties look the same. Like, they've all got the soy face. They've all got that scraggly beard. They've all got the open mouth. The perfect recent example is the guy who milkshaked Farage. Like, it's like he looked like he'd seriously just stopped playing Zelda for half an hour. Got out there and like, yeah, and then went back and like hoed down on a soy latte. Like, he's just the look, those rimmed glasses, just that chubby nothing face. And then David Hilton pointed out there's a journalist, a mainstream media journalist, who was mocking the concept of Pizzagate, who just recently got caught for pedophilia. He's got exactly the same face. Like, these people, they all look the same.
Yeah. Well, mentioning the milkshake of Farage, there's some comedian, Joe Brand, or like Joe Bland, who said that, oh, why not throw battery acid at far-right people? And this is what... I was going to bring it up here. No, doesn't work. Well,
Taking fucking advice from the religion of peace, mate.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why there's a...
Or is
there's
that
a
swimming pool acid?
strong link between them. Yeah, let's get this photo up. That's it's
oh yeah,
amazing
just
shot.
keep talking. I'll get it up.
Yeah,
I fucking... Do them people who throw the acid, right? Is it swimming pool acid? Is that the story? Because, like, I've got a fucking 20-litre drum of acid in my backyard right now. You know what I mean?
well,
Is that what these nutcases do? Or is it more hardcore acid than that?
well, you've seen the photos of the people's faces when they get struck by acid. It's pretty full on acid. Like, their whole faces melt.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you look it up on...
Have you seen...
You can't look it up on
Have you
Google,
seen
obviously.
Lacey? I
Seen
have
what,
a
sorry?
chick... I have a Sheila on my show on Thirsty Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
She was on a few weeks ago. She's from Scotland, and she reckons that it's happening in Scotland and fucking every weekend. These Sheilas are getting acid thrown in their face.
Yep.
The Muslim guys, they crack.
Oh, here we go.
Shits.
Yeah. Well, I actually got a map of London, and there was a certain demographic in London, and that seems to match up very, very closely to a map of the attacks, the acid attacks in London.
Okay, I've built you to the suspense. This is Joe Brand, who thinks that far-right people should have battery acid thrown at them. Oh. It's not liking me.
What's going on?
It's just not. Ah, here we go.
That's him?
That's
Yeah, that's him.
Oh,
Gee.
fuck, man. What Lacey was... There we go.
Yeah, he's been having far too much soy. He actually looks like
shit.
he looks like a woman.
Looks
Yeah.
like Freddy Krueger.
Well, he looks like somebody who
Have
used
they had
to
battery
be a
acid
woman.
thrown at them?
It's quite possible.
Is that a man?
Yeah, that's a man.
I don't know what they've got down there. But if you have a look at the thing,
Shit, is it wearing lipstick?
Yeah, it's wearing lipstick.
Mm.
It's maybe it's had a bit cut off.
Jeez.
I don't know.
Ugh.
So that thing, so that person has said, "Oh, throw battery acid
Yeah.
at the far right."
Mm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that thing would.
We've gone off on a real tangent, though.
Yeah.
This is, I think, the Dusty Boat, because his live streams can just go anywhere. Like, we started talking about last week on Thirsty Thursdays, was it dinosaurs?
Well, Matty and I talk about
Hey,
tanks.
we
on
went
a
fucking
regular
into
basis.
the deep.
Mm. And that was the
Jeez,
first
mate,
day.
there's not... We need to have a fucking conspiracy theory episode. Start talking about Bigfoot and fucking everything, mate.
Well, you can't even talk about
No limit.
real history on YouTube now, because they took down Hitler, just footage of
Yes.
and so we should actually say now, who is this Hitler person? I don't know who. Yeah, you heard of him?
No, never. Oh, yep.
I think we're back now.
We're back.
Not yet.
No.
Yep. Looks like
Here
Oh, we're
we
back
go.
now. Now, oh
sort of.
Till we lose
Yeah,
Dusty.
you do that.
yeah, we're here, but
We're
then
here?
Dusty went.
No, Dusty.
We're still on though.
We're still on.
Yeah.
Oh, we need Dusty.
Oh, here he is.
We're fucking back.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, let's
And all our
So
viewers
what
are
the hell
back now.
happened there?
Let's roll.
You'll never believe what the problem was. You know how you're supposed to.
No, you.
Yeah. That the internet modem actually works better on the floor, not in a high place.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. It looks like we're fucking rock and roll now.
Yeah, no lag at the
No lag.
moment.
Nothing, anything. Beautiful.
So I'm sure everyone will complain in the comments if anything goes bad again.
I'll just fucking start spewing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That wasn't a lag then. That was just you drawn out.
What a mutant.
Oh yeah. Maybe I just cut it out, like pretended there was something wrong there because you were
Yeah,
going
maybe I
on
was gonna go
a
on
controversial
bit.
tangent.
Yeah. Let's talk about some news. What have we got?
All right. Well, we were going to talk about because we just talked about Cuckoscope. Let's go back to what the actual what the actual agenda is. Yeah. So Matty, he put up a channel on Cuckoscope, and it's no more.
Ryan Fletcher got taken down after a day as well. Yeah,
Mm.
that lasted not very long. Yeah.
But we had the announcement from Jordan Peterson today that he is going to set up... Oh, and everything's working now there. Jordan Peterson has announced free speech platform ThinkSpot.
Oh, shit.
A free speech platform. He doesn't know what he's getting into himself
Yeah,
into.
he
really
doesn't. He says he'll only ban people if they're ordered to by a US court of law.
Holy shit.
There's going to be a lot of shit posting. It's going to be epic.
But he's said that there's a minimum content length of 50 words. You're going to have to put a little thought into it, Peterson said. Even if you're being a troll, you'll have to be a quasi-witty troll.
Yeah, I was saying 50 words for Jordan Peterson is like one sentence. But like people will find imaginative ways to do that. Like they'll just say rubbish for like 30 words, and then they'll say we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. Purple monkey dishwasher. You know, like that's what I would get on there and do. Yeah.
You could just go 8.
Yes, and just put space bars in. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it'd be epic. Because if he's saying okay, it's going to be a free speech platform. Let's see how long that lasts, because XYZ, our free speech policy lasted about 2 years. I think there are a couple of other a couple of other sites that they held out for a while, but it's.
So what would happen? But is it gonna be like the Telstras that say we're gonna fucking boot you off, ban you from using the internet? Essentially, is that what you think would be the cause to stop it, or you think they bow to? It's all about money. Would that be the pressure?
I think just Peterson would be triggered. Like, that's what I think.
Yeah. Basically, like, you're going to... Like, that place is going to get swamped by people on the far right. It's basically any place which has a free speech platform just gets swamped. That's the golden rule of the internet. So, we know
into 4chan.
Yeah, and so we know that Jordan Peterson, he tends to virtue signal quite a lot. It's like he wants to go a lot of the way, but he doesn't go all of the way. Like, he understands so much of history and cultural Marxism and where it all comes from, but he just does not want to go the whole hog. So when people start going on there and saying, look, we actually need... Like when people go on there and start... when ethnic nationalists take over the joint, basically, that will be the test of whether he actually wants free speech on there or not.
Yeah. I've got my mate created his own social media app, the slateboard.com. You can go make a profile fucking right now, and it's free speech. They talk shit on there all the time. I reckon there's probably only 100 people on it.
Well, as Cocoscope said, though, they tried to say that they were forced into this because of the payment processes, but we saw Subscribestar. They got deplatformed by PayPal and a certain credit card processor, but they found another one eventually. It was just a higher fee one, so they took a hit for free speech. And so obviously Cocoscope were just like, oh, it's too much hassle. Yeah. We just prefer we want, degeneracy on. Payment processors, they're perfectly fine. Like, if you want to open up like a sex fetish website, you'll be able to find a payment processor easy. But if you want to, make a website that has traditionalist content on it, no, we can't have that. That's horrible.
Yeah. Well, like, porn serves a purpose in that it saps the energy in the minds of people. It's a drain on you, and once you get off it, it's amazing just how much clearer you are, and how much clearer you think, and how much more productive and just a better person you are. And so it suits the agenda of the elite to have porn for the masses, but it doesn't suit them it doesn't suit their agenda to have people wanting to actually live a godly life. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you can't actually say that sex is for reproduction.
Yes, no front holes.
Oh, but they do have standards. They only allow soft porn, so they don't allow on Cocoscope. So they don't allow the really hardcore stuff. So
Yeah, porn is porn.
But yeah, you can sign up for Jordan Peterson's. It's in beta testing mode. We'll see if he continues to be a beta Jordan Peterson. So ideas live here.
So you agree with Adam on that one?
A thoughtful and respectful manner. Ugh.
Is that Jordan Peterson's one?
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to say all of that again in a Jordan Peterson voice.
ThinkSpot is a collaborative community where individuals can explore and exchange ideas in a thoughtful and respectful manner. The platform is an intellectual playground for censorship-free discourse.
Yeah,
Join the waitlist below. How's that?
That's not bad.
Yeah, you just do a Kermit the Frog voice.
Yeah, ThinkSpot. Yeah, you do. Yeah.
How funny remember when Jordan Peterson did his tour in Australia?
Well, he's done 2.
Yeah, oh well, his first one I rocked up. I didn't buy a ticket. I waited to the very end, and I was handing out flyers for the Proud Boys. Right, I must have had 1,000 of them, and I'm just handing them out. And then the guy running the event's like, "Mate, you can't hand them out. Sorry." I was like, "Oh, no worries. I'll just go buy a book and then go line up and get it signed." And I just fucking grabbed this book. The line was 1,000 people anyway, and I just fucking bang. I walked the length of that line, just handing out. Like, I swear to you, it would have been hundreds and hundreds of flyers. I was like, "Fuck you, mate."
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Jordan Peterson.
People are like sheep, man. It was harder to hand out flyers to individual people, but when it was a line of people, you start giving 1, 2, and everyone's like, "Oh fuck, I don't want to miss out." Everyone starts taking them. The sheeply mind kicks in.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, is because like Jordan Peterson has now sort of got like A-list celebrity status, and so he's got, you know, all of these like minders and that you can't do this at his shows, like, because I remember when like Matty did his vlog about Jordan Peterson's show, he wasn't allowed, like, not even just in the foyer area, wasn't allowed to film. As soon as like he went in, like, he had to turn it off.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's sort of, you know, everything that happens in there is Jordan Peterson's intellectual property.
Yeah, I get the impression like it's getting more and more like that. I actually met the guy who brought him out the first time at the second one, because he was trying to bring somebody else out, but that got cancelled.
Yeah. Sam McClellan.
Yeah.
He was trying to bring out Stephen Hicks, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, he's a good man. Interesting story. But yeah, like, you know,
they need to bring fucking David Icke out.
Oh, they tried.
Bit of fucking lizard man action happening. Come on.
Even Milo's banned from Australia now.
That's anti-Semitic.
Do you know who we need? This is my solution. We need to bring fucking Charlie Sheen over and just have some like epic fucking, he's just gonna talk shit about his life, how he's just fucking gone ballistic on the tiger blood and the crystal meth.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna fucking, it'll be like, yeah, it's just the comedy tour. I'm sure Charlie's gonna say everything under the sun.
Did you
know
just,
what I mean?
Did you just use the term solution then?
Oh no. What have I got myself into?
Nobody's allowed to use it in any context whatsoever
solution.
now.
Do you know that, like, when you think about the actual term solution, like, by definition, it is final? Because nothing happens after the solution. Like, the solution solves the problem. Therefore, the solution is final.
You can say everlasting solution.
Yeah, sure.
Because that sounds like everlasting love.
Yeah, ultimate solution. Yeah.
I got an interview. Did you see my interview with Fraser Anning about that? I called him at a rally and I was like, it must have been a week after the final solution speech. I'm like, yeah, mate, tell the people what the fuck, you know, what's going on. I was like, they've done a number on you, mate. And he was just like, he reckons it had no connection with that.
What do you think of Fraser Anning, Dusty?
I reckon he's all good.
Yeah,
because I've met him in real life a few times and he's just like a decent, normal human being. Like, every time I've met him and interviewed him, he's a top bloke, like just a genuine top bloke. And every time he's like, we going to the pub after this? We catch it, getting a fucking beer? Like, he's usually there with just himself and 2 other people, you know. And I reckon he would talk to anyone. Yeah. He'd fucking go over a beer with you. And you could disagree with him, or you could talk to him and find out what he actually thinks, and he'll tell you. The thing I liked about him the most, like, I was kind of like, is he like full? Is he what they're saying he is? And then he, obviously he had his fucking Indian whatever bloke stand in his party. So I was
Paul
like,
Taylor.
I'm like, so that's bullshit. Then they're all lies. But the thing that made me think he was all good, I think was he the only politician who's like, we should be able to have guns for self-defense. And as soon as he said that, he's just said it. He was like, this is what I want. This is what I believe. We should have guns for self-defense. And I was like, no other politician said that. I'm like, yes, we should be able to have guns for the purpose of self-defense.
I agree with you on the guns thing. I was personally, I was disappointed that like he had an Indian in his team. Like for me, I'm like, because I'm ethnic nationalist, so the way I saw it was, no, if you're going to be a nationalist, like, and you're going to basically make on a regular basis ethnic nationalist talking points, it's a contradiction to actually have an Indian on your team. But it was interesting to meet him because I think like he's gone as far as he can, like given like who he's working with and given like where Australia is. I think we're going to see a lot of people who are actually further to the right than Fraser Anning in future as well.
Well, I mean, so is he a civic nationalist then? I think he's like me. I believe in civic nationalism, but I believe we should have zero illegal immigration. We should be cutting immigration, like, to the bone. We should be encouraging families. People, we should be creating our own families. And I think the answer is, yes, we could have people still come here on work visas, student visas and holiday visas, and even you could have fucking minorities, like persecuted minorities, that could come on temporary protection visas. But I would say, like, substitute a lot of our immigration just for temporary visas that only last for fucking 12 or 24 months. Send them back. Hopefully they get influenced by Western culture, learn something, go back to where they came from and go, fuck, Australia was brilliant. I want to fucking make our nation like that. Like a first world nation, free nation.
Firstly, regarding Fraser Anning, I think he is actually essentially still a civic nationalist because, like, you're either ethnic nationalist or you're not. And so, like, like he had talking points and he had like just the most epic Facebook page of all time, but he's still not full ethno-nationalist. The thing about, like you're talking about temporary immigration, the thing about that is I think it's a nice idea, but I don't think it actually works in principle. Like it's just the thing about like refugees, the idea of a refugee is that you're supposed to go back, but refugees, like, it's just a euphemism for permanent migrant. Like you look at the way that the door was open, you look at the way in the past that the door was open, say in France, to mass migration and basically like ethnic replacement. It started off with guest workers from their African colonies, and the whole idea of that was that they were supposed to go back, but they never went back. And it's actually a pattern throughout history where you bring in people to do the work for you, and the idea is that there's some unknown point in the future they will go back. But it's a problem with a guest migrant. Like, they come here, they settle down, they make roots, they like the place, it's better than their home, and they don't want to go back. And then if you really want to make them go back, you have to have the political will. And in practice, and especially in a democracy, that's just not going to happen. So,
have you seen that in my industry, we have a high turnover of employees, right? Mm-hmm. But we've had a huge influx of Europeans on 12-month work visas. It's like a holiday work visa. They go back. They do go back. And
Europeans go back, yeah.
Yeah, and the same with the Pacific Islanders, but like you have, and Filipinos, like we've had Filipinos come in and then get sent back. We've had, you hear of the guys going out in the farms, like the Fijians and all that. So like sometimes it works, but I'd say you'd have to have a 12-month visa, maximum 24 months. You can't have any longer than that, and these people are going to be like set up fucking shop, you know what I mean?
Did you hear that one of Fraser Anning's candidates got a Queen's birthday honour Professor Adrian David Check. He ran for the seat of Boothby.
Cheoke?
Yeah, how do you say it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I just did my best. Yeah. He apparently does work with artificial intelligence, and this apparently triggered the mainstream media on the left that an Australian nationalist got a Queen's Birthday Imperial honour, yet they were all celebrating that people like Kevin Rudd, Lee Sales and Jane Caro, who a month ago said, I wish I was a New Zealander after the election result, all the people who hate Australia, hate the monarchy. It's good them getting monarchy honours, but somebody who would actually respect that system. Oh, it's awful that he got it.
Well, yeah, particularly as these are people who really harshly mocked Tony Abbott for bringing back the Queen, the knighthoods. The knighthoods, yeah. So if they had any kind of dignity, they would refuse those Queen's Birthday honours.
Yeah. I just want to go back to the picture of him. He looks a bit like Jair Bolsonaro, don't you? He's got that sort of...
Oh, yeah.
He's the descendant of Genghis Khan, mate. He's a fucking Mongolian.
You know the Mongolians were white.
Were they?
Genghis Khan had red hair, and I think either grey or blue eyes.
Didn't fucking Muhammad have a red beard? I reckon he's like a Viking. He was just on the piss, and he was tripping out, and he was just like, fuck it. I want all these women, and I'm gonna fucking make this man cult where we're lording over every fucker.
He was the original White Shirai.
Well, there was...
He was just like fucking Ragnar Lothbrok fucking junior, mate.
I remember there was an epidemic for a while of ginger jihadis. So you mentioned that Muhammad was a ginger. It makes sense now. Because people said...
Yeah,
he is going over there.
Have you seen Pakistanis and Arabs and shit with ginger dyed beards? Have you seen this?
Yeah, that's because if you check out Asher Logos, he's got some really interesting videos where he basically talks about Aryans, Europeans, basically spread from a spot in Central Asia, pretty much throughout the whole of Asia, and through all of Europe, and through the tops of North Africa as well. And so we basically have just traces of our genetic heritage all the way through Asia, through India, through Persia, all the entire region.
And I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, I think it's on the Hadith or something, it explains what Muhammad looked like, and they said he didn't have a mustache and he had a ginger beard. And that's why all these fuckers, they're trying to emulate Muhammad, and they have their beards look like shit. This is one of the main things I hate about Islam. If you have a fucking beard and it doesn't have a mustache, you need to punch yourself in the face. Even Abraham Lincoln looks like a dickhead. Grow a fucking mustache if you want to have a beard. But they're trying to emulate Muhammad. Muhammad had a ginger fucking beard with no mustache. That's why all these stupid fucking Muslims, they look like idiots. Muhammad had no fucking taste at all, mate.
Did you hear that there was two terrorists who were shot by police last night? We were just told that they were terrorists, but we later found out that they held extremist Islamic beliefs. And what happened, so this was up near Albury, is that they were being followed by counter-terrorism police, and these brothers noticed, and so tried to flee, and then when they were followed, tried to attack the police, and that's why they shot them. But I remember you saying that you were listening to ABC Radio.
Yeah.
They just said...
Well, yeah, I had no idea where they were from. Basically, the ABC said they were, I think they described them as terrorists, or men with terrorist ideologies, and they interviewed a police officer, and he said that they had kind of ideas which were extremist, or were in a terrorist kind of direction. And so they used the word terrorist a lot, and they used the word extremist a lot. I had no idea what kind of thing they were talking about. Absolutely no idea. That's basically standard operating procedure from the ABC.
Yeah.
I just had to read before that article saying that there were white guys who had converted to Islam in prison. And fancy that too, huh?
Mm. Well, you know that if it was a far right,
Yeah.
we'd
There
know
we go.
about
You're
it
getting better. You put a bit of gravel into it, Tim.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd know about it right away because, well, that was the first thing that Scott Morrison said post Christchurch, is that it was well, he didn't say far right, he just said right wing.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm.
You may as well have just said conservative.
Mm. Yeah, so that was, it hasn't been a big deal. Like, it's just old news already. Same thing with that mass shooting in Darwin last week. That's already old news. When it's news that doesn't fit the sort of like narrative,
Well, it's part and parcel.
Yeah,
isn't it?
evil white men, because they couldn't blame the Darwin shooting on like lax gun laws.
Yeah. Who was, like, what was the actual identity of the Darwin shooter?
Well, he'd just been released from prison, like he was on parole, so he couldn't have got the gun legally.
Yeah, okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
And he had a fucking ankle bracelet on.
Yeah.
So how did they fuck that up? They couldn't even find the guy. Like, they can track your fucking phone anyway. Like, hasn't that been out? One of my mates worked for Telstra, and there's like a thing where the cops can go there, and everywhere you've been for the last 3 days is fucking tracked within up to a meter of where you were the whole time. How shit are these ankle bracelets?
Yeah. So it doesn't exactly fill you with confidence that one of them who's on an ankle bracelet can just get a firearm, and like there was 5 different locations where he I'm going to say alleged now because he's been charged now with 4 counts of murder.
Yeah, it's the amazing thing that because the same thing happened with Brenton Tarrant, that they can shoot people in one spot and then just travel very easily to another. Again, like if you're in a society where like a lot of people were armed, that would be a whole lot harder.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. They need to bring in fucking tasers and pepper spray and give us fucking BB guns and paintball guns, all of it. Like, what the fuck are we doing in this nation? It's just stupid.
Matty's Modern Life, he likes Fraser Anning for the same reason you like him. Like, Matty asked Fraser Anning, like, if, because, he asked him, do you think I should be allowed to own a tank? And Fraser said yes, so, why
Fuck
not?
yeah, Fraser Anning's a legend.
Yeah.
And it's all lies. Like, I don't believe anything. I don't know. Like, look, when they write all the shit about Blair Cottrell and all these people, I go, I don't know if there's anything wrong with them at all. That's because they're all fucking liars. So if I meet these people in real life, I'll give them a go and have a conversation with them. And then I'm having a conversation with them like, this dude's completely fucking normal.
Oh, yeah.
What's the fucking problem?
Blair's one of the best speakers that I've met. Like, he articulates so much with so few words. It's really, really, like, he's just a tremendous speaker. I think that's one of the reasons why why the powers that be have gone after him so hard. Like, they've basically just tried to tire him out, take up all of his time and money.
Do you think this is what they've done with Bob Katter? Like, not saying he's a fucking, amazing communicator. I think he's pretty hilarious. But the thing is, look, Queensland was like the deciding state for the election, weren't they? So I reckon they were like, fuck, we need to do something about these Queenslanders. Let's go fucking knock Bob Katter down a few pegs. Let's go after these conservatives up there.
I've got a beef with Bob Katter because he kicked out Fraser Anning out of his party. But yes, like he's a good bogeyman for the left. Yeah.
But the reason why they go after Katter is because he's relatively easy to cuck because he manages to retain his seat through Labor preferences.
Yeah.
And so that's why
he's vulnerable there.
A lot of people think he kicked Fraser Anning out because Labor were like, well, we preference against you in the election. And so these sort of articles, it's like keeping Bob in line, saying, behave yourself, don't be too much of a maverick, watch your step.
So you're saying that he's controlled opposition?
Oh, I'm not saying he's controlled opposition. They can control him. He's not. He's not.
So he's controlled opposition.
Is that the actual definition?
I was thinking with the election, like, look, you've got guys like Fraser Anning. I reckon they took a lot of heat and attention away from the Liberal Party. Like, I reckon having these extreme people these extreme parties. I reckon it's working in the favour of the Liberal National Party.
Well,
It's
absolutely.
it's completely backfiring on them. Like they're I think the extreme, when you got someone who just says it, this is the way I fucking see it. That's the way it is. You should have guns for be able to have guns for self-defense. Statements like that are direct, right? I think you've even got some hardened Labor supporter, maybe unionist guy is probably like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to give this guy a crack. And I reckon, and then they go, that probably brings them over enough, and then they go, fuck it. I'll preference Liberal National before Labor.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's what's happening.
Absolutely. Fraser Anning we actually got one of his articles published on our site, and he talked about the Overton window and how the Liberal Party have let the Overton window be pulled further and further to the left because they don't fight back against the left's social victories. And so, yeah, what Fraser Anning has done is to be able to drag it all the way across. I think one of the reasons why there was such strong support for Scott Morrison's Liberal government was because a lot of the people, they had something strong to go for. Strong. I say strong. I see Scott Morrison as a bit of a sellout still, but that's because I'm over here. Basically, the point is that it dragged Australian politics across to the right. Fraser Anning may not have had as much electoral success as I would have hoped, but it's been just the fact that we've had nationalist talking points being able to break through to the mainstream, and it's just brought the whole thing across. And we know that the left have been upset about that because they've just gone all out attack on him, because they know how dangerous this is to their narrative. Yeah.
And there was a news article, I think it popped up in, I think it might have been the Fairfax papers, which said that all of these right-wing Facebook pages actually helped the coalition, spreading the death hack memes and that. Yeah. Which is
these are the Facebook pages that they didn't want to name because they didn't want to
but they were the ones that
post
Christchurch that Scott Morrison wanted taken down, so they nearly sabotaged their own re-election.
So what you're saying is we're all controlled opposition.
So it was because it wasn't just their own messaging, it was these other pages, and so that's the irony of it. They nearly censored their message going into the election.
Yeah, that's because they're dumb. Yeah, Scott Morrison is a smart politician on some regards, but on that, yeah, they're still dumb. They've got to listen to their grassroots. We saw how they kept kicking out all those candidates who said the truth about Islam, and that's what the grassroots of the Liberal Party is saying. And that's the difference between the grassroots of the Liberal Party and, say, Fraser Anning supporters or One Nation supporters or Bob Katter supporters, is that they're the supporters who've had enough of the Liberal Party and realise that the Liberal Party aren't going to come across. The grassroots of the Liberal Party, a lot of them are still, they basically say what we say, but they're still loyal to the Liberal Party.
We've said a lot about corporate virtue signalling and the role that they like to play in corporate social responsibility. But this was an amazing story today. Is that retail giant Kmart found itself in a religious controversy, which they blamed on a software glitch. They still have the photo kiosks in Kmart where you can print off your digital videos. You couldn't caption it with Christian-related words such as Jesus, church, Bible, and Christian. But also you said you couldn't put in Canadian. That was... but you could put in Islam, Muhammad, Quran, and mosque. None of those were censored. But actually, Samantha Armitage, she's in this thing. She's actually quite David Koch is a cuck most of the time, but she's actually one of the based. Said that she said Kmart has come out this morning and said it was a technical glitch, but this is rubbish. And then what did they put down the bottom? Kmart Australia would like to sincerely apologise for this system error, which Kodak have rectified overnight. And you sort of think these, like, when they blame it on sort of a malfunction, it's an amazing coincidence.
Wardrobe malfunction. Yeah. Yeah. I love the fact that, like, Koshi's blonde token woman has actually come out and said that's rubbish.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we're dragging them across to the right as well.
Well,
The Overton window, it's moving.
Well, she's the one that took on Kathy Griffin for, you know, how she'd, like, back down on her apology for, like, the Trump bloodied head.
Yeah, right, okay. So she's got form.
Yeah, she's
good on
actually,
her.
and I remember she was game enough to go on Mark Latham's Outsiders program when I was on Rebel Media, so
Okay.
yeah, she's
Well,
like,
she's an alright sort too, eh?
there's some good, like in that breakfast, like, morning one, like Sam Armitage, Kerry Ann Kenley, Sonia Kruger, like, you know, the blonde bombshells there, like.
Yeah, funny that, huh?
Alright, guys, I'm gonna have to fucking leave you, eh?
No worries.
Glad
we
Thanks for
could
having me on.
Yeah, glad we could introduce you to the Uncuckables audience. And where can everyone find you?
Well, mate, you can look up thedustybogan.com. Got my own website now, and then
Oh, we've already lost him. We were doing so well.
Oh, looks like he's left just the right time.
Are we still on, though?
I hope we're still on.
Yeah, we are still on.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, is it time to bring on Steele?
Steele.
Oh, hey.
I'm ready.
No, he's gone.
No, he's gone. Okay.
But we're still on, though. It hasn't messed up on the live stream.
It was nice to meet Dusty.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Come on, Steele.
All right.
And don't knock anything over. all the cords. Just bring that chair there.
Hang out first. Oh, you coming?
No, you're sitting there.
Okay, yep.
Yes, we've got to make sure. I was amazed that on election night, because Matty was really really drunk, that, like, he managed not to.
I don't know what
like,
you're talking about. Well, the fact that Matty didn't actually destroy anything?
Yes.
Yeah.
He actually.
Oh, isn't it?
Well, we don't need the headphones now. Now, Steele. Oh, hang on. We'll just.
Hello, everybody.
Now, when you were on the show last time, your face was quite out of control.
Yeah, well, yeah, I got a few comments about me being homeless. I want to just explain. It's called being an entrepreneur. That's my reasons for this. It was, you know, we've come out of a long working season. I looked a little bit disheveled. You know, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I can grow facial hair. I like a man, right?
Well,
You
yeah,
know, like men can grow hair.
You've got nothing more to prove. Huh?
Yeah, so we've been there, done that. You know, so it not really bothered me too much.
Yeah. Well, you are, like, quite hairy. You do need to shave on a regular basis.
Yeah. So we can talk about my personal grooming. Absolutely. Let's talk for half an hour about my personal grooming. But in all seriousness, no, I'm a man, so I can grow hair, and I need to keep it under control. Otherwise, you know, I go caveman really, really quick. You know,
Looks like
'cause
the man from Iron
I'm
Bike.
so far right
Oh,
that I have
we've
to.
got
Matty.
a special guest. Hello.
Get me on the show.
How?
On Skype.
Skype, but we've only got two headphones.
Huh?
We've only got 2 sets of headphones. We won't all be able to hear you.
Oh, that's all right. I was gonna tell you to kick Dave off.
Of course you would.
So we got Matty Rose on the phone.
Kick Dave off.
Kick Dave off.
We're not kicking Dave off.
No.
It's not happening.
No, I'm not moving. Not budging, Matty.
No, he's over on the far right over there.
Yeah.
It's too hard to
Hey,
get
how
out.
come you called?
All right.
How come you called now and not when Dusty was on?
If you look at it from this point of view.
How come you didn't ring up to confront Dusty?
Well, because I've been doing other things.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going on his show next week.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, that's
big,
going to be a ripper.
yeah, big showdown.
What do you mean, a big showdown? He seemed fairly okay.
That's not what you've been saying, like, in comments and in other conversations.
About the Dusty Bogan.
Yeah.
Oh, that he's a cuck sieve that.
Yeah, that.
What a cuck.
Yeah. We should do a big promo, like have a boxing matchup.
Have a what matchup?
Well, no, like promote it like a boxing matchup.
Lad Society boxing.
A lad society.
Old fashioned in the garage.
The
you know.
Uncuckables Fight Club.
I think he's just gonna interview. He swears a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think it's part of his staple of his language.
He's like he's very Bogan-like.
Yeah, he is. Well, he's called the Dusty
Very
Bogan.
Dusty Bogan. I think he's actually named himself appropriately. Now, I thought you might want me to come on because you were going to talk about the Hong Kong protest. I used to live there.
Oh yeah, get Matty on.
Okay.
Yeah, get him on.
But if you guys want to sit there and have Dave be your only expert,
Get Matty on.
All right, we'll get Matty on. I can sit out because I taught Steele how to do the, but he doesn't know how to use Skype. All right, well, Matty wants to talk about Hong Kong. While I'm doing this, don't just sit there in silence.
Okay.
The Adani coal mine was approved today.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, so we're on different sides of the coin on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh, you're against Adani.
well, I'm not against mining and I'm not against coal mining and all that, but I feel like this is what third world countries do. They beg for like other countries to come in and exploit their resources.
That's a good point.
So I kind of like a nationalist. I'm kind of like, actually, you know, if this was an Australian project, either Gene and Reinhardt, I could do that, or BHP Bulletin or something like that. If this was an Aussie project with Aussie workers being paid and you're within the law and all this sort of stuff, but it's India, it's China. We're like begging for these big foreign non-white countries to come down here and take our resources, own the mines. They don't live here, so when they leave, like this is what you do to Africa. This is what you do to these third world countries. You go in there, you exploit the resources, you leave. You don't care what happens to the environment and the aquifers and the water and the people after that. We are becoming like a little miniature, either middle or third world power that's begging these non-white countries for infrastructure projects. And for me, I feel like if that's what we're going for nowadays, and we're all going to cheer at like a few thousand jobs on something because some big non-white country wants to like give us a bunch of money, then I feel like we're at a loss.
I actually couldn't have put it better, Steele. You notice the way I said, yeah, great. It was kind of like, yeah, great.
I understand, like,
Yeah,
I
great.
understand the jobs for those regional people, and I think that's really important, but I would love for this to be a national project because it's going to be the world's the Carmichael mine is going to be the world's biggest mine. It's going to be the world's biggest mine, and we're giving it away to India. We're giving it away to India, and we're giving it away to China. They're going to, and we're not going to make any money. We're like this little logistics sort of, they're going to not care about our people. They're going to try and undercut wages, going to fly in Indian engineers and all this crap every step of the way. They're going to abuse us all the way. And so it's not going to be good for the country, and which is why even the government has known that, and they've been trying to put it off. And they've been put it on their soft side. They said, look, soft Labour, soft Greenies, they don't want it. But the hard, like the Turnbulls and all that, I mean, they didn't even want it. I mean, Adani is a huge, corrupt, non-white, you know, sort of foreign entity that wants to just come in, crap all over our country and leave. And, you know, because we're in such a state, because the Labour and Greens and Communists and the factions have just run this economy into the ground, we're begging for these big non-white countries to come here and crap all over us.
Well, I still have my libertarian internationalist perspective.
Of course, but you're getting kicked off.
Yeah. Matty's calling through now.
Hey, Matty.
So we'll swap.
I'm on.
I'll finish the thought.
This takes me back, Matty.
It's the famous Matty Rose.
There we go. How's
So
that
you're
for a
leaving-
camera angle?
Tim's leaving the sensible centre.
How's this
Go
for
in
a
that
camera
chest,
angle?
Steele.
Does that work?
Yeah, that'll do just fine. You look a little dodgy like that, Matty.
What do you mean?
Is that
You
where
look
you're
like
Is that where you're met?
Oh right, okay, Jesus.
Oh, Jesus. Hold on, I'll move the light. I'll turn it off.
Oh, that's the set of the XYZ.
Yeah. The
There you
set, yes,
Yeah.
the set.
There you go.
That's the
Oh,
Yeah.
That's where
So
all the action
dark.
happens.
like dark and mysterious. How's that?
Yeah, this takes me back. This takes me back to how we used to do the XYZ live streams.
Yeah, I know.
Me talking on one end, like talking at my piano, and then Matty talking in the dark.
I love how the lampshade is like not straight. I love that. I think that's part of the aesthetic.
Yeah,
what?
I think it's important that we have a lampshade in the background. Actually.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's all sort of like, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's
How do I look?
leaning right wing lampshade. You look good. You look like you've lost all your power and you're using candlelight. It's great.
Why is my internet so slow? This is what I want to know. Like, everyone else's internet is always way faster than mine.
Because Elon Musk hasn't built his space net yet.
Look how crap it is. It's just ridiculous.
Okay, Matty, talk to us about Hong Kong.
What do you want to know?
Everything.
Everything.
Everything about Hong Kong. Well, where do I start? The first thing you notice when you get off the plane in Hong Kong is the smell. And I'm not even joking. The first thing you notice, you fly in and then you get outside and you notice the smell of pollution. They've had a big protest with over 1 million people, which is a lot of people, as I'm sure everyone would agree. But if you think about this, you'll understand just how many people it is. Hong Kong has a population of 7 million, so literally 1 in 7 people have got out. Can you imagine if 1 in 7 people in Australia went out and protested? What would that be? Look, that'd be more than 3 million people, 3.5 million people protesting in Australia. So if 3.5 million people protested in Australia, that would be worldwide news. It would be significant. The reason they're protesting is because China want to put in this extradition treaty. I'm not exactly sure of the details, but they want to extradite criminals who commit offences that have more than 7 years sentence on the end of it. And the Cantonese people are just saying, nah, you can't do that, piss off. Because when China took over, they agreed with the British that they weren't going to change any of the laws for 50 years. And this is pretty massive change in the law. And the thing is, like, the Cantonese people, this is what people have to understand. Like, people look at Hong Kong and they look at the people there and they think, oh, they're just Chinese, because you can't tell the difference. A lot of people can't tell the difference. But you can tell the difference if you know the people, and they are different. They're a distinct people. They are
their eyes,
Cantonese.
like, rather than like that, are they kind of like that?
No. Mandarin is this. This is Mandarin. This is the official language of China. It's like, and then you got Cantonese, which is it's like really angry. It's a very coarse language. But I wouldn't be surprised if a Cantonese IQ was higher than the mainland Chinese. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what they found. And their values are definitely far more liberty focused, thanks to 100 to 150 years of British rule. You see, the Cantonese people became so large and distinct because of the British, and they don't like encroaching government. They don't like the fact that the communist government want to take over, and it's good to see. And here's the thing: this is what happens when you don't have cultural Marxism infecting a place. Like when I was growing up there, I don't remember any of the cultural Marxist crap. There was environmental stuff. You know, there was we're going to save the environment, we're going to do this, and that was sort of on the TV, but it wasn't built into the curriculum at school. We actually learnt about real history at school. I mean, can you believe that? I actually learnt about ancient Greece, like actually real history. And I look back on it now and I think, wow, I actually learnt how Greek people actually lived. A lot of the stuff I see in documentaries today, it's sort of repeating the information that I learnt in primary school, except in more detail. So it was actually a really good education system over there. There was no subversion, as far as I can remember, other than the commie green stuff on the TV, and there was only 2 channels of that anyway. So I'm not surprised that the Cantonese people are out campaigning against this kind of tyranny, because they are a people. This is how a people is supposed to act. And you'll see there was actually a lot of expat English in that protest as well, but expat Europeans only make up about 1% of the population, as far as I remember.
So let's we were talking briefly about this with Matty last Thursday, and he was basically making the point: look, in Hong Kong, they're not my people. Like, this is China. Like, how can anybody expect China to be a democratic country? Why should we, as ethnic nationalists, care about what's going on in Hong Kong right now?
Why should we, as ethnic nationalists, care? Well, because it's another symptom of the nationalist populist surge across the world, really.
So you see this as nationalist, like you see this Hong Kong nationalism against China?
Well,
I see it as the Cantonese people standing up for their liberty against the tyrannical Chinese government.
Okay.
It's a repudiation of the two countries, one system, which is what China has been working off since 1997.
It's a different dynamic. It's a East Asian dynamic. So it's not. It's sort of part of the same kind of motivations, I guess you could say. But I think, well, probably a lot of them will probably be influenced a lot by the internet as well, and a lot of them probably would be getting awakened in that regards. I'm not sure how much they. I haven't been to Hong Kong for so long, and I wasn't really focused on it all that much when I was there. But it'll be interesting to find out exactly how much the Cantonese people see themselves as a distinct people. They refer to themselves as Cantonese, and that is distinct from the mainland Chinese. I mean, this is what people don't understand about China, is they're almost as ethnically diverse as Europe. The difference is you can actually see it in Europeans. Like, you can look at a European person and you can see the ethnic diversity, because you know that there is that ethnic diversity. There's actually diversity within the ethnicities in terms of like hair color and eye color and all that kind of thing. But you can also see it in, it's less obvious, but you can also see it in the different Asian ethnicities and even within China. It's really obvious when you look at the Chinese people compared to like the Koreans and Japanese, and then you go to the Vietnamese and Filipinos, and I mean, they're similar in the same way Europeans are similar, but they're also, if you know what to look for. When I was a kid, I could look at someone and say, that person's Japanese, that person's Korean, that person's Cantonese, and that person's a mainland Chinese. And that's a big thing. The fact that you can tell the difference between a Cantonese and a mainland Chinese, not just from the way that they speak, but the way that they look. Mainly the way that they speak, but
I've always found differentiating Japanese, Chinese, and Korean quite easy. I mean, that's not very hard. It's Southeast Asians. I always get a little bit like, are you Filipino, or like Indonesians are quite easy as well for me personally. But like Thailand and Philippines and all that, I don't know.
Yeah, Filipinos are easy once you hear them talk, because they all speak with American accents. So you know that it's a Filipino when they open their mouths. It's a bit harder to tell the difference between like a Thai and a Cambodian or Laotian and a Malaysian. That's a little, but for obvious reasons. It's like telling the differences between a Scot and an Englishman. You can't really tell until they open their mouth and speak the language. But you can definitely tell the difference between someone from that region and someone from, say, East Asia, or obviously the subcontinent. But yeah, in terms of Hong Kong, yeah, I suppose you would have to consider that the Cantonese are a distinct people, and although I don't remember it, I can't say that they wouldn't consider themselves Cantonese. People in Hong Kong consider themselves different to people in China, even if they don't say we are ethnically Cantonese and we must secure the existence of Cantonese people and a future for Cantonese children. They might not exactly say that, but it's far more obvious in the way that they behave. It's kind of probably like the way we used to behave back in the 50s before we were subverted. We don't openly, although we were probably even more open about our ethnocentrism even then. So maybe they don't speak about their ethnocentrism, but they do see themselves as different from the Chinese, not just definitely culturally, definitely linguistically, but probably ethnically as well. Like, they are ethnically different, so they probably see themselves as ethnically different.
If you look at the parliament structure, Hong Kong used to be like sort of coming out of the British dominated sort of era, it used to be a very pro-Hong Kong parliament, but that's all gone now. It's all been washed away. It's all sort of pro-Chinese, pro-Beijing parliament now. And those hardliners are sort of, pushing these extradition laws. And it's the people, like, if I had a choice of living in a Chinese country, I would definitely choose Hong Kong over China, because in China, for example, if you look at just back at 2015 and when Xi was consolidating power, what did he do? He purged the military, the judicial, and the political structure of the old Xi Lai and all that. He purged them all. He killed them all. He locked them in prisons. He got rid of them, right? So like Chinese like emperor structure is it's pretty much it's called a president, but Xi is pretty much an emperor. If you look at emperors past and to the Sun dynasty and all that to now, they pretty much mirror each other. He's an emperor, and extradition laws means that when those criminals, whatever they are, get pushed to China, they're dead.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're dead.
Oh yeah.
They're dead. There's no recourse. There's none of so. I would be marching as well. I would be marching if I was a Hong Kong person. I would be out there marching.
I was listening
as usual. As well.
As usual, I was listening to the ABC on the way here, and they were talking about this, and they were talking about the difference between the protests now and the protests that they had in Hong Kong in the 1990s, and they had massive protests in Hong Kong in the 1990s, and China mainland backed off. Because back then, Hong Kong was a massive part of the Chinese economy. Since then, the Chinese economy has just taken off, and so Hong Kong doesn't really matter to them anymore. So whether China actually cares about what the people of Hong Kong think, it may not.
Beijing and Shanghai, especially, are these two powerhouse economies, and they've diminished the ability of Hong Kong to have influence.
Yeah,
I'm just I just had a quick look at the Hong Kong economic data. I just speaking of even the China and how different it actually is. Hong Kong, I can tell you something. This is the God's honest truth. Hong Kong is more free than Australia in the West. Seriously. I mean, in terms of freedom of speech, you probably don't have the freedom to criticise the Chinese government as much as maybe you probably could, but you probably could criticise the Chinese government anonymously, maybe. Although they do they disappear booksellers and then they reappear converted 6 months later. They've gone to room 101. So in terms of maybe they're not so great on the freedom of speech, but in terms of economic freedom and freedom in a lot of other ways, you're so much more free in Hong Kong than you are anywhere else in the world. I mean, even in Hong Kong, you could criticize the tribe. You could criticize anyone in Hong Kong, just not the Chinese government. Think about that. But here you can't criticize so many people. You can't even criticize gay people in Australia, and you'll get in trouble.
The argument has been made that, what we consider now to be tyranny, like the days when we had kings ruling over Europe, we were actually more free back then, because like Hong Kong now, you can't criticize the king. You criticize the king, you'll be killed. But you can do pretty much anything else, and the taxation was lower as well, and the regulation was lower.
Hong Kong, on even the Normicon Heritage Index, Hong Kong is the #1 economic freedom index in the world right now. And if you have a look at their GDP per capita data, it has basically grown since the 1960s. I mean, there's a couple of short blips there, but while we've had a recession in GDP per capita, or it's definitely a recession if you look at if you take inflation into account, we've actually lost real economic growth per person, which is why things seem hard despite the fact that the numbers are different. They have just kept on growing and growing and growing. And I remember, this is just an anecdote for when I was younger in Hong Kong. This is how much freer they are. I remember when I was probably 16 years old, my dad, when I was over there, he lived over there. So he stayed over there after we came back. He lived in a little village in the New Territories which is, you got the Hong Kong Island, then there's Kowloon, and that's basically a city, and then over the mountain, you got the New Territories, which is where a lot of the expats sort of congregated because there was a bit more space and whatnot. But he lived in a little village over there with a whole lot of other expats. Probably would have been a village of maybe 100 houses, if that. And they'd all congregate around this little place called the Dong. There was like a Dong. It was kind of like a milk bar that sold beer. And you could go down and you could buy beer back in, when was that? That would have been sort of late 90s for $2 a can. Yeah. $2 for a can. And I was 16, so I'd go down with 20 Hong Kong dollars. I'd go down with 20 Hong Kong dollars, which is about $4, $5, and I'd buy myself.
You'd have a
I'd
party.
buy myself. Yeah, I'd buy myself one beer, and then
and you'd be drunk, yeah.
All of these middle-aged expats would just say, "Hey, Matty, you want a beer?" And I'd just sit there all night drinking for free. And I was like 16 years old, basically drinking at a bar. And the guy who ran the place was probably this 60-year-old Cantonese bloke who lived in the shop. So he was chilled as hell. He didn't care. He was just happy to sell anything, really.
This is why
it was great.
I can imagine like hearing that story like 100 years ago, like in some far-flung part of the British Empire. That's magnificent. It's like it's a holdover. That's what you're describing there. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, Hong Kong, I wouldn't want to live there as a kid because, you're not in your own culture. But it's cool. It'd be cool if you want to actually work and make money. It's actually a pretty good it's a pretty good place if you actually want to succeed and work and get a job and have a better lifestyle and make a better life for your family, unlike the West right now where we're so regulated that we can't do anything and taxes are so high that if you work, you lose it all anyway. So, yeah, I think if there was like an economic crash of some sort, that Hong Kong would do pretty well. Their biggest risk is what we've been talking about, the political risk of China just deciding to maybe send a warship or two in there. But if you see the protests, 1 million people out there over one little law, like this is one law where they can only extradite people who commit a crime that has a sentence of over 7 years, so serious crimes. And in Hong Kong, the crimes are actually a lot less harsh than they are in China as well. They're more in line with England, minus the idiotic hate speech laws. But that's 1 million people out there. So this is where we need to get our culture to. This is where little changes in laws like this get 3 million people out on the streets.
Yeah, it's because it sets a precedent. I mean, that's why people march on things like this, because once you start opening the doors, they'll say, okay, let's change the definition of criminal, let's shorten the sentences or lengthen the sentences to push more people onto China, then you make incentives. And so, like, people are saying, let's not go down that road at all. Let's just not have this law. Let's not have anything to do with China. Let's get it out of here. And it's encouraging, and I think well done.
Mind you, like China could just send in the tanks. Like, this is the country that invaded Tibet, that like massacred people in Tiananmen Square. Everybody still wants to do business with China. Mind you, I know there are tariffs, from America, but like, if China like was to basically commit a massacre in Hong Kong and just take the place over,
that's World War III. I mean, America would respond. Yeah? Absolutely. I mean, America's going to respond
Taiwan,
against
like,
South Korea.
They can defend Taiwan because, like they have a navy, but could they really start World War III over Hong Kong?
I don't know. That's what U.S. Security guarantees are all about. Would they respond? Would you respond over the Spratly Islands? Would you respond over the those islands, those little islands with all the oil under them? Like, what do you respond to? Do you respond to antagonizations against Taiwan? I mean, where's the flashpoint? Where's the trigger, right? Hong Kong is predicated on 2 or 3 big things. It's like trade. So all the ships, 6 trillion or whatever, all the ships that go through the region, that's trade. And also they had a massive boom in finance. They've been a massive financial hub of the world. And like, when you have massive amounts of trade and you need massive amounts of trade and financial trade and all that to formulate your economy, you get loads of freedom. So they've been used to freedom. Whereas the communist China...
I'll just add something in there. Sorry, I didn't interrupt, but I'll add something here. I'm pretty sure they don't have a central bank either. So think about that. So yeah. Maybe. I think when should they respond? I think the US should just send a carrier in there today. Just park it in there and just say Hong Kong's a United States vassal state now, and there's nothing you can do about it. And what would China do? Like they'd huff and puff, and they couldn't really do anything about it, to be honest, unless they wanted to start a war. If the Hong Kong leadership invited the United States in, then the Chinese government would have, they'd have to basically say, all right, see ya. We can't take it. They'd be like, oh, this is the worst thing ever, and it's an act of war, and da-da-da-da-da. But, nah, I mean, it would be fairly provocative, definitely, and it wouldn't be good for tensions in China or anything like that. They wouldn't be happy about it, but ultimately there wouldn't be much that they could do about it.
It would. You could see Donald Trump doing something like that.
It would be fantastic. I'd be like, it'd be a freedom day for the Cantonese. It'd be fantastic. I'd love it. I think it'd be so good.
It'd
Put
sure
China
be
right back in their place.
It'd sure be. I'm looking into it.
Well, the Chinese.
I'm looking into it.
What's
on that note? You go. I want to talk about that before we go because it's 10 o'clock and I want to go.
What's the name of that giant sort of like Las Vegas down there that China has? Macau, right? That's it. So if you read military maps and stuff, China has put in talking about moving in aircraft carriers into Hong Kong. All around Macau, if you look at military maps, what have they done? They put in a ton of short-range submarines bases in and around Macau for that specific. Look at the maps; it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, right.
Short-range submarines. It's really interesting. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, before I've got to get going because it's late and I only wanted to come on to talk about Hong Kong, but I think did I mention this on my show?
So can you just explain? Can you explain? You grew up there. How long did you grow up there for? Like 20
I was there for 8 years. I was there for 8 years as a kid. Yeah, it stinks, but it's fun, and you can drink when you. You could probably go still and drink when you were 12. You know, like they don't care. You can walk into a pub and just be like.
So how much of the language can you speak?
I know Tiêu Lai Lao Ba, and I know Gong Hei Fat Joy Lai Si Dao La.
Is that enough to get you laid?
No, all you have to do to get laid is be white, and that's it.
So
even Dave could get laid in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So when Peter Grace attacks you for not being culturally exposed, you can be like, "Hey, dude, I've been there, done that. I lived there. When did you ever live in Hong Kong?"
That's a funny thing.
Who's Peter Grace?
I don't know, some old dude somewhere.
Never heard of this.
Yeah, I hear he pisses his pants a lot. He was on the XYZ Facebook page the other day, actually.
Oh, is he that bloke who needs nappies?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was hilarious because he said, "Oh, I don't have time to waste debating with you guys," but then he comes on our page. It was amazing.
I know. Funny chap. But anyway, I just wanted to mention on the Uncuckables as well that isn't it funny that Donald Trump has said that he was looking at censorship very, very closely, and then would have been less than a month later, YouTube have come out and just deplatformed thousands of people, demonetized thousands more, admitted that they are deliberately promoting mainstream media, Donald Trump's enemies, the people who hate Donald Trump, deliberately promoting Donald Trump's enemies over his supporters, demoting the people that support him, all while he said, "Oh, I'm looking at it very, very closely." Now, I made a little meme. It was like a Buffalo Bill meme, where it was Google on the face of Buffalo Bill looking over the girl, like the person in the pit, and the person in the pit was Donald Trump, and it's basically it rubs the censorships on its skin, and he says, "Oh, I'm monitoring it closely." So
in other words, he's not.
He's not. He says he's monitoring it closely. Donald Trump is supposed to be this bloke. He's supposed to be a bloke that has the mountainous ego. He's like the biggest ego in the world. Just Donald Trump. And here, Google and YouTube have come out and flat out pied him right in the face, and kicked him in the balls, slapped him around a little bit, laughed at him, spat on him, pissed on him, and then walked out and said, "Job well done, boys." And what's Donald Trump done about it? Nothing. He's done nothing. What a pathetic individual to work so hard and just not respond in the face of a flat-out insult right to his face as the President of the United States. Come on, mate. I mean, you can stand up to China all you like, but you can't even stand up to your own tech companies. It's just pathetic, really. He's done nothing. What's he done? Cut taxes. He hasn't built the wall. He hasn't closed the borders. He hasn't protected freedom of speech. He's just essentially he's our greatest ally's favourite president. Put it that way.
On the wall.
Yeah.
I'll give him credit for the wall, because I find it very interesting that he's actually had to force Mexico into closing their border with the countries that border them to the south.
And all these beautiful Panama and stuff.
I find it interesting because, like, the American system of democracy, it's basically designed to prevent too much power centering on the executive, and so the left and them have had control of America for long enough that they're able to put enough roadblocks in the system that if somebody wants to actually close the border, they're going to have to. They can't just go direct. They have to zigzag through a minefield. It's actually easier for Donald Trump to get the country next to him to close their border with the people coming into their country to transit. That says a lot.
But even with the tech censorship thing, I'm like, okay, yeah, look, the Dems and his own party have dragged their feet and done everything that they could, and he's tried to pretend to play hardball on the wall, but he still could have done more to close the borders. He could have done a lot more than he actually has done.
Breaking news.
The main thing is,
did you know that the U.S. Army is now allowed to use lethal force on the border?
All right,
they'll defend it like it's Gaza, huh?
Because of the state of emergency, they're now allowed to use lethal force. So that's some development.
Trying. At least he's trying.
No machine guns yet.
He's trying. Well, at least he's looking like he's trying. He hasn't really done anything on immigration. Ultimately, he's sort of looks like he's trying, and he doesn't talk about demographics and anywhere near enough. He's surrounded by these RT Zogs, and he's, he talks a big game, but ultimately I just don't think he's going to do anything about the censorship. And
Matty, I have to ask you though. You're a very smart person, and I have to ask you: when you saw the campaign and you realized Jared Kushner was there and Ivanka was married and all that was happening, did you think that this might be what was going to happen, or did you think that he was going to?
No, because I wasn't red-pilled at the time. So to me, I thought, great, we don't have Hillary. I thought it was
so
fantastic.
When he said Jerusalem's going to be the new, we're going to move the embassy, did you put two and two together?
I thought that was hilarious because it annoyed the left. So I thought it was really funny. And it was ultimately like, wow, he moved their embassy from one city to another. So it was a symbolic thing that pissed off a few of the right people. And
it's a Bible prophecy.
Whatever. I mean, let the tribe have their capital. I'm not really against Israel existing, to be honest. I just don't want to have to send them aid or military assistance. That's all. I don't want to be ruled by them either. I don't want them to dictate the internal policy of my country or the country of the United States. So this is my issue with them. I don't see them as I don't see it as a bad thing, just having a little strip of land there for these people who, if they want to live there. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some people who disagree with me, especially on our side. But even that being said, I mean, all right, he's done all this stuff for them. But what about for his own supporters? He's sort of half-assed trying on the wall, but he hasn't done anything about tech censorship at all. And tech censorship is literally, in my opinion, the biggest issue of our day, because...
We know it's your opinion. You've got those angry eyes again, Matty.
I know, because censorship pisses me off so much. Like, censorship is one of the worst things. But it's like you said, Dave, okay, in China, you're not allowed to criticise the king, but you can pretty much... in Hong Kong, you're not allowed to criticise the king, that is, but you're allowed to do, say, pretty much anything else. Just don't criticise the king. And even in Hong Kong, you can criticise the Hong Kong, you can criticise the Cantonese government. You just can't criticise the Han Emperor in Beijing. And what you can do is protest against policies coming out of the Han Emperor in Beijing, and they do that. So it is a sad day when you sit down and realise that people literally living under communist Chinese rule have more freedom than we do. messed up is that? Like,
We essentially have a
it's
social
absolutely
credit
nuts.
system here in the West as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
actually, that's a really, really good point.
It's
You
the
kind of
market
do.
beast.
Yeah, you kind of do, and it's kind of the credit is if you don't open your mouth, you get more credit.
Yeah,
Well, it's-
yeah,
if
that's
you,
it.
if you don't open your mouth, or if you mouth the right things, or if you say the things that the beast agrees
Yeah, well, the
with,
more you more you virtue signal, the more points you get, like
Yeah.
up. Like,
Yeah.
so if you don't, you get like a certain amount of
Yeah.
points.
It's funny because like analysts, they say they worry that China's social credit system could be like implemented here. It's already here.
Yeah, it just doesn't exist. Like it's not like, and it's not that it doesn't exist, but it's built on a social contract of you get a job or you don't.
Yeah, and we all understand the rules now.
We live under
Everybody
like a nuclear
understands the
tyranny
rules.
of you will get your job eliminated.
Yeah.
That's why we have to go on these shows and stuff. People like it's very hard to do what we do. I mean, especially you guys. I mean, it's
Mate,
very hard.
I just turn up and say a few things, man. I don't really do most of the talking.
yeah, I know. I'll just turn up and talk.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is growing, and this is what annoys me about this. Okay, look, yeah, there's all this censorship, which is obviously disgusting. They shouldn't be removing channels at all. But my channel now, like I looked at my analytics, and I was seriously growing between probably 700-800 subscribers to 1,000 from January. My channel had really started to take off, and then with this algorithmic change, it's gone from 800 to 1,000 subscribers per month. To literally in the last week, I've got 0 new subscribers in the last week. I put up 3 videos in the last week, and I've got 0 new subscribers net overall. And you look at the analytics, so you can see how many people subscribed and how many not subscribed, watch your views, you watch your channel, and up until probably about 3 weeks ago when the algorithm was changed, 2 to 3 weeks ago, it was over 80% of my views were coming from people who weren't subscribed, 80 to 90% depending on the video and the time. And now that's basically, it's almost 50-50, let's put it that way. It's almost 50-50. My channel's not growing at all. The views are right down, and the people who are watching it are people who are my engaged fans. I can't reach a new audience.
Do you know Josh Snyson from World Alternative Media?
No.
Anyway, he's very big. He's got like 200,000, and he's having the exact same problem. He started about a month ago, and he got hit real hard because what they said, which isn't true, but he's actually friends with Peter Lavelle from RT, and they said just because he's Facebook friends with him, so they said, aha, you're friends with this guy who works. He's like the geopolitical analyst on RT, like the big guy, and he said, haha, because you're friends with Peter Lavelle, and Peter Lavelle communicates with Putin, you are a Russian spy, and they pretty much killed his channel just on that association.
It's not just that. It's not just me. Yeah, this is the thing. I wouldn't be openly complaining about it if it was just me. I would be looking at my content and thinking, well, what can I do better? And
Ask
a lot
the
of
audience
some of the drop in viewership is because of the election, and I probably haven't been making as much content. I was making a video pretty much every 2 days. Sometimes I take a day off and make it every 3 days, and like the amount of content has probably dropped off a little bit, and the amount of engagement, just because less people are interested in politics, has dropped off a little bit. But it's not like it's gone from it's really, really high and then it's just gone down a little bit, but it's still growing. It's just dropped off a tiny bit, which is what you'd expect. It's dropped off heaps, and it's not just me. It's a whole swathe of other channels, and some of the people have been complaining about it for months. Guys like Six Hexenhammer and Stefan Molyneux, they were the first ones to get affected by it, because YouTube actually said that they piloted this algorithmic program. They tested it, and obviously they've tested it on a few specific YouTubers. Now they've just
like Vertigo
decided to
Politics
stuff
and
it.
stuff.
Yeah. Vertigo Politics, and it's one of them, and all the people that were mentioned in that Data and Society report, the alternate influence network, these people were pretty much all affected by the new algorithm, and now I've been caught up with that, probably because all the people I subscribe to and watch are patriotic or libertarian in nature. So my channel's just been flagged for shadow banning, pretty much every independent content creator right now. It's pretty much everyone.
I'll tell you what happens then what happens after this is, and because I've seen this happen with other people, is people resort to stunts because they can't get a message out on a YouTube channel or a BitChute or whatever. They can't get a message out. So what they do is they start harassing people. They start doing protests or doing stupid stuff so that they get onto the news as a story onto the mainstream media, and then they get that 30 seconds, and then they say their piece, and then they can get their message out. And so they're encouraging,
they do other things.
They're encouraging people to do stupid stuff.
Do. Yeah.
Because they have to. They have to do that. They have to do Charlottesville type stuff.
It's escalation.
To get out.
Yeah.
It's escalation.
Yeah, it ends up escalating because they get put into their box and they get essentially silenced. There are people who have actually had their channels taken away. So mine, it's not as bad as that. I mean, knock on wood, I haven't even been deemed demonetized yet, but not that that even matters. I make nothing from my channel. So all my videos get demonetized anyway. Yeah, it's cathartic to be able to put your content out there and know that people are going to see it and it's going to get engagement and all that kind of thing. And when they put you into this box, it makes people explode. I'm considering just going BitChute full time. I don't like just putting all my stuff up there.
James Fox Higgins is leaving all the platforms apparently.
Yeah, good on.
What do you mean? Even BitChute?
I don't know. Everything. I think he's getting his own stuff. I don't know. Maybe
it seems like he's creating his own website. Yeah, good on him.
Oh yeah, you got to make your own website.
Yeah.
So I'll probably continue doing the live show on the Monday. I won't give up on YouTube just yet because this is what I think is going to happen, right? I mean, obviously there's probably going to be people who go and do silly things, but there's nothing we can do to stop that. But I think what's going to happen now is YouTube's going to get really boring for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I reckon a lot of people, because I was thinking about this.
Can I comment on this? So what I've been saying for a long time is YouTube and Google essentially, but YouTube's business model is basically it's movies and music. That's where their whole, and gaming. That's, if you look at the stats, it's like 70-80%. The news and politics and all that is a tiny fraction of a percent. I mean, if you get one PewDiePie guy, he's got what, like 100 million people, like T-Series and all this sort of stuff. I mean, and then they get attacked for these people with channels of 6,000 because they're talking about real issues. So they don't care about politics. They don't care about the news side of things. The only reason they host this on the platforms is to stop other platforms from hosting stuff. But they're giving up on that. They don't really care anymore. They're saying we're so big with our music and our movies and our gaming that we kind of don't need you guys anymore. And you can do your news and politics in other places, and we don't actually care because we've got Google anyway.
So what you're saying is this isn't going to end YouTube?
No, because their main business policy, their main business structure is music and gaming and all that stuff we don't even watch about. But you watch one video and it's billions, it's Vimeo, it's all this stuff, right? If you go to the front page of YouTube page, you look it through it. I don't even know half the stuff, but it's all gaming and music and videos and pop stars and Justin Bieber and all this stuff. That's their main business model. The only reason they even let people on there do politics and all that is to deny other platforms a way to get these people and get that in case something grows out of it. And that's the reason. It's a denial strategy. But they're starting to say, fuck denial strategy. We'll just be a gaming and music platform and all that, and everyone else can have the politics.
And it'll get boring. It's going to get really,
and they'll keep
boring,
buying,
especially for people in house.
And what they'll do is they'll turn
it into corporate crap.
And like Google Videos, how it's really shit. You know how Google Videos is really shit? Like something will get big on the politics scene, and they'll just buy it and make it really shit and hard to use. And then everyone will get split everywhere. It's just, they're going to keep doing that. It's a denial strategy. It really sucks.
Well, if that's the case, then what we need is political force, essentially. That's the only option. Because if YouTube's not going to die on its own due to these policies, then political force is the only action, because we need them to
Trump.
Basically... we need,
which is what you were saying before. Which is why
he's so pathetic and why he's just
such
such a weak leader who
Trump thinks that retweeting Paul Joseph Watson is how to help.
Congratulations, you retweeted. You said you're looking closely, and they censored anyway. They don't respect Donald Trump at all. They are confident in the fact that they are more powerful than the president of the United States of America right now. And if I was Donald Trump and I saw that, then I'd be livid. But obviously, Donald Trump doesn't mind getting RAPED by the big tech companies, because he's clearly taking it. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's consensual. Maybe he enjoys them pieing him and doing naughty things to him and his supporters. He must like it.
Because
Maybe that's just the kind of guy he is.
American Renaissance, Amran, do you ever watch it? So Jared Taylor said that if Trump had any courage, he would prove it by deleting his Twitter, deleting it, and moving to Gab while he was president.
Definitely.
If he had courage, he would do that, but he will never do that.
He won't do that. That's exactly right. He'll just talk a big game and just do nothing. He could fix this problem overnight with two executive orders. He could fix it right away. Bang. Just like that. He could get freedom of speech back onto the internet. He could force YouTube and all these companies to declare themselves either platforms or publishers. And if they are platforms, then they must respect freedom of speech. They have to respect First Amendment rights, and they have to make sure the algorithms are all completely neutral and don't favour mainstream, don't favour one group over another. They only favour the viewer who gets what they want. But if they're a publisher, then okay, they're a publisher. Then they're liable for everything that gets posted. He would tell them to do that.
And I'll tell you what, that's one of the best things. I've been talking to people about this. That point about whether you're a publisher, it's so important because Congress actually has granted YouTube and these platforms a free speech exemption law, which basically they're saying they're unregulated, whereas telecommunications, radio, TV, satellite networks, all those other networks as communication networks, they're regulated. So if you swear or you attack someone or you do something like that in America or globally for that, you couldn't say that on those networks. But Congress has granted them, these platforms, an exemption law. And because of their business model and because they want to make money with advertisers and track your data and make sure they push you onto things and all this sort of algorithmic stuff and consumer stuff, because of that, they get in the road of that and they actually don't utilize those exemption laws. And they say, actually, no, the people who are our advertisers are more important to us. And who's their advertisers? Coca-Cola, IBM, I don't know who the fuck they are. Disney, Walt Disney, I don't know. But that they have exemption laws and they don't use them on purpose. Congress has granted them that. Fox News on cable doesn't get that, but it does on YouTube. It's completely strange. We live in this two-tiered weird world. But your point about them being publishers or platforms is the exact where they need to go because they actually have to be forced. They can't just be given these exemptions. Yeah,
they have to prove that they are a neutral public forum. And the policies, you look at them, they're not a neutral public forum. They have an editorial policy. They literally say, we are promoting, quote-unquote, authoritative sources. Authoritative according to who? Oh, authoritative according to YouTube. It's their opinion. And they're demoting bad actors. That's their opinion. They are demoting people based on their personal opinion. They're promoting based on their personal opinion. They're removing based on the same thing. They're a publisher. When they act like that, they are a publisher and they should be treated as a publisher or they should be forced to declare themselves a neutral platform and be neutral. And Donald Trump could do it right away. I said 2 signatures, he could do it in 1 signature.
Well,
that's all you have to do.
Donald Trump understands power politics as well. Like, he's the guy who sent missiles to an airbase in Syria. He sent missiles to an airfield in Syria because he was negotiating with North Korea. So he understands power politics. So he understands that he's been getting pooed on here.
That's the reason they say,
Alex, pooed on, why is he not doing anything about it? Why is he not turning around? Why is he not turning around and saying, "Oh, you're gonna take a giant turd on my lap and then spit on me and laugh at me and then do the same thing to all my supporters while I said that while I warned you not to do it, he warned them not to do it and they did it anyway. You're going to do that, and now he's just turning around and it's like, what are you going to do, mate? Like, what are you going to do? You're not going to do anything about it.
He's that's why people and he's scared.
It's why some people make the argument that Donald Trump was just a release valve.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think
who makes that argument?
I don't know. I think there's a good chance that he'll probably lose the 2020 election. I think the economy's going
pretty well. To who? So to Joe Biden? To Chris Joe?
To demographics. He'll probably lose it to demographics. The only thing
AOC is the new overlord. That's who you're saying.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the Democrats put up because
Marco Rubio.
The demographics indicate that he will probably lose the 2020 election. The only thing that could possibly save him is the fact that the economy is strong and people arguing his case, and people aren't able to argue their case for him because he hasn't done anything to protect his supporters. So he could, if he actually stood up for the people and forced YouTube to remain neutral, then he could get a huge amount of alternate new media support to help him. But he hasn't done that.
I'll make you an absolute guarantee. If Trump started war with Iran, he wins the election. 100%, guarantee. Take that to the bank, because American politics has always proven that when Americans are in a war, and this is historically true, when Americans are in a war, they never vote out the president who started that war ever, because they say it's your mess, you fix it up.
Didn't they vote out George Bush?
Well,
the senior guy.
Well, yeah, but
he started the war with Iraq, and they voted him out.
No, they didn't. They voted for him. George W. George Bush Senior. He only won one term. He started the first war.
Maybe that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
the
exemption to the rule.
I don't think in the current climate starting a war would be a wise idea.
The difference between that is that George Bush had won that war.
Yeah, that's true.
He had won the. Yeah, I mean, it's probably been finished by the time the election came around. Maybe.
There was the Somalia thing going on.
That's
an interesting one.
Think about it anyway. It'd
be.
I would think so.
It'd be unfortunate if the ZOGs got him to invade Iran. That would be really, really bad. But yeah, whatever happens, I think he'll be the last Republican president anyway, just because of demographics and because he hasn't managed to close the border and deport a bunch of people that he needs to deport. He'd need to deport millions of people if the Republicans were to start winning elections again. But no, the demographics is destiny. And Ann Coulter said it, that if the election was held in like 2017, then based on demographics alone, Trump would have lost. So wait until Texas flips blue due to demographics, and then you'll see things will really start to heat up when that happens, because when Texas flips, Texas is going to flip blue unless they close the borders and deport people, because just demographics, like I said. And when Texas flips blue and Republicans realise that it is now impossible for them to win any election, then you're going to see things kick off, mind you. And
those FEMA camps are going to finally come into action.
Things are going to get bad, maybe not right away, but once the grassroots, you've got to look at John Mark. He talks about it, and this is why what Donald Trump, his weakness on and inaction on this free speech issue and YouTube and things. This is why it's so bad, because guys like John Mark and myself and us and all these other people, the people in this little sphere of discussion, we are the ones pointing out what's going on and calling for a peaceful separation of each side, and at least an orderly discussion and an orderly reconciliation of our differences. But if we have censorship, then all we're going to have is crap, bad stuff. boom sticks is the only thing. It's the only thing that people are going to do. Like, you think that Christchurch happens if we have a free and open dialogue about mass immigration? Nah, doesn't happen.
I know you're not from Cooma, but the forecast from there is of more Brett and Terrence, more Brett and Terrence. What? Is that it? Is there more of those guys on the way?
Is that my forecast? I would be shocked if we don't see more events like that. Absolutely and utterly shocked if we don't. And if YouTube, their actions here have probably made it essentially inevitable at this point, just because they're so they're so silly. They're just so silly, because they are sending the message to people that you cannot get what you want through words. That's what YouTube is telling people. They are sending that direct message. And Donald Trump, by failing to act, but by failing to stop this retaliatory cycle that YouTube have started and Google have started, by failing to stop that right in its tracks and saying, no, you can't do that, he's essentially guaranteeing further conflict and escalation. So we need action really, really desperately before...
Political, peaceful action, but it needs to happen ASAP.
Before people DIE. Seriously, before people get banged up, before some nut job decides that there's no other option, then, I mean, we can still speak at least, so we can still network and all that kind of thing, but people get impatient, people get angry, people get crazy, and people get set off by certain things.
The one thing that has stopped the West from descending into all-out civil, you know what, is the restraint shown by white men in the face of unprecedented attacks on our homelands and on our people. It's the only thing. It is literally the only thing.
Just wait.
I was going to say before, Matty, you were talking about Texas flipping blue, and I was just going to say, fair's fair. If you're going to import for votes, you could deport for votes. I mean, what's the?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair's fair, right? I mean,
of course you can
make democracy work again.
Of course you can.
Yeah, I mean,
he could do it. Of course they could do it. They've got the power to do it. They've got the power to close the borders. Pretty sure he could close the borders with an executive order if he wanted to, but he doesn't. Like he's. What's up with this leftist argument? Surrounded by the wrong people.
What's up with this leftist argument that we wouldn't whites wouldn't do the jobs that Latinos and all that they do?
We used to.
Absolutely. Yeah. I used to do it. Like they're very very good at picking, watermelons and cabbages and doing all that stuff. It's fantastic. What's a racist one? Cauliflower. The racist cauliflower.
Crap.
Have you heard about that? Have you heard about racist cauliflower, everybody? Cauliflower is now officially racist.
Oh,
it's such a bullcrap argument as well. It's completely and utterly incorrect. The idea that white people don't want to do certain jobs.
Yeah, no.
You remember that?
Mass unemployment. You got whites everywhere who say, give me a job, and you say you don't want a job.
I can tell you, I've done a lot of crap jobs.
Yeah.
I've done those jobs. Yeah.
I do plenty of crap jobs. It's just that I won't do them at a certain price. You just got to pay me enough.
Especially if the law says so. You're not going to go against the law.
Business just don't want to pay more for their workers. And I saw about a week ago, we had all these farmers, these primary producers saying, well, these local kids just don't want to do the job. These foreigners will do it. It's like, no. It's because you're paying them pittance. You pay them peanuts. So, of course, foreigners are going to do it. Foreigners are happy to work for peanuts, obviously. But the local kids won't. If you wanted local kids to do it, you just have to pay them more. This argument, this tiresome lie that we need mass immigration to plug jobs that the local European kids won't do is a anti-white lie. It was pushed by anti-whites as an excuse to replace us.
Absolutely.
And that's the God's honest truth. But yeah, I think this is anyway. We're getting late. We're just sorry.
All right.
I just haven't taken a breath.
See, I knew exactly what I was doing. Did you notice how every single question it just rolls on?
I love it. We all love it.
This is why I've got to wear earbuds because the cans because steam is coming out of my ears.
We can see the angry eyes.
So,
Matty, how does it feel to take your first breath in 20 minutes?
I get angry about things and then I say my piece and they go down. But now it's just the rage is up because they stole my channel from me essentially. Like they put my channel in a box and now whilst I still have a voice, it's gone from a nice loud booming voice to a quiet little whisper that no one can hear. And frankly, I think what they have done is it's called tortious interference. They are preventing me from reaching the market. They control the market. They are preventing me from reaching the market. They are manipulating it. They're doing it on purpose. That's called tortious interference. It's against the law. And honestly, we need to start a class action lawsuit against YouTube for that specifically. And I'm not even joking. I mean, we need someone to actually take them to task for that because they are using their market power to suppress the businesses. This is a business for me. I'm not making much money, but I am making money out of it. And it's not just me. There's lots of people who are affected by this who are making a living out of YouTube, and they've demonetized them. They've hidden them. They've done all this stuff. It's tortious interference. It's against the law. And they should be sued. We need to sue them because if Donald Trump's not going to do anything about it, we need to do something about it. We need to actually get him in front of a judge, get him in front of a jury, and get him to prove that they aren't acting maliciously. They are.
What we could do, I mean, we're saying this on this channel now, but what we could do is let's just set up a foundation. I mean, we'll be the board directors. I mean, we'll just include other people. Just set up a random foundation and put everyone aboard and do a massive class.
Just move all their Patreons onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like we do with the
Support the class
Uncuckables,
action.
but like just set up some random foundation.
Yeah.
I don't know, call it like Freedom and Heritage Foundation. I don't know, give it some really nice sounding name.
We can call it. We're going to sue
Communist
the living
United
hell.
Foundation.
Sue the living hell out of YouTube Foundation.
Yeah.
We need a lawyer. That's what we need. We need a lawyer
John Bolton.
in
John Bolton.
our pocket, on our bench to
John
come
Bolton.
out and do it all for us.
Go and meet John Bolton.
I'm not the only. This isn't my idea. I just heard someone else has spoken about it. Yeah, and it is like if you look at the definition of tortious interference, because YouTube are a monopoly, because they built that monopoly based on being a platform for everyone. They grew the market. They have all the audience. They monopolized it. They are preventing people from conducting a lawful business using their what used to be a platform. That is tortious interference. Unless they want to declare themselves publishers, then they can do whatever the hell they want, but we can sue them if someone defames us on YouTube. So pick one or the other, guys. Like you can't have both.
Louder for Crowder basically just said that basically what they did was they just used everybody. They just used everyone to bring everybody there, and now they're kicking them off and saying goodbye.
They've broken they've broken consumer laws. They've committed fraud. Honestly, Sundar Pichai, how's this? Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, swore under oath that YouTube and Google do not manipulate search results. He's in an interview that was...
Don't be evil.
He published an interview like 4 days ago where he literally says they manipulate search results.
Yeah.
He was under oath when he said that they didn't do that. He committed perjury. Why is he not being arrested?
He lied
and
perjury to
charged with
Congress.
perjury?
Yeah.
He literally lied to Congress while he was under oath. That's perjury. They're committing tortious interference. Perjury. Fraud. What else?
I believe you go to hell for that, actually.
Why is the law not doing anything?
Probably
It just
Hindu.
proves how corrupt the law is over there and in the West. It's so corrupted
to
right
Bangalore
now.
for that.
Yeah.
Why are they
It's
not?
disgusting.
Why are they not subject to the same laws as everybody else? Sundar Pichai committed perjury. That's a fact. We know that now. It is a fact that he committed perjury, and he hasn't been charged. He hasn't even been investigated. They got an antitrust investigation going on, but is he going to get charged with perjury through that? I doubt it. I really highly doubt it.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Well, well, we should wrap it up. We're getting signals to wrap it up.
Yeah. I got in the flow. I started flowing.
I beg your pardon?
I started flowing.
Yeah. Hey, it's been a very interesting discussion. I like it a lot.
It's an important discussion.
Yeah. Sundar Pichai, what is he doing? He's destroying our world.
What is he good for?
What are you good for?
The last chapter that the devil wins in the Book of Revelations is chapter 14, by the way. Just tell you something. Just saying.
The devil wins.
So in the Book of Revelations, basically the beast, the devil, takes over the world and rules the world for a little while. And in the last chapter, chapter 14, this is the chapter with the mark of the beast. The area that we are in right now.
Hey, Matty.
Chapter 14.
Matty, guess what episode of...
Chapter 15, the angels come down and it's not good for the beasts. Once
Matty,
the angels come.
guess what episode of The Uncuckables this is?
Guess what?
Guess what episode of The Uncuckables this
Oh,
is?
14.
Yes.
Whoa, spooky. I didn't even
Sacred,
realise that.
sacred number.
Yeah.
Crap. Is it really
Yeah.
14?
It's the best number.
Oh, it is too.
Yeah.
Episode 14.
Yeah.
We must secure the existence of Uncuckables in the future for Dave's
For
children.
uncuckable children.
All right, that's it. We're signing
Let's
off.
call it.
We're leaving it. Thank you very
See you
much,
later-
Matty, for coming
See you
on.
later, HOMOs.
We've enjoyed your company, fundamentally.
Good to see you, Matty.